The Toyota MR-2, the poor man's Ferrari, Toyota's one and only midship during the 90s. Make that the second popular midship next to the Honda NSX. We'll be tackling its good parts and its bad parts. My name is Myogi Warrior 34, and welcome to the NAOKO SW20 MR-2 car review. During the world of wagon mid and maximum tune, their only known drivetrains are the FR and the four-wheel drive. But what about the MR-2? Among its lineup, next to the RUF-RK coming out on the 4th version, this is the only midship car in the series. What's a midship? Well, you can see the vents, right? The engine is in the back. I'm not kidding. With the engine in the back, you get better balance and you get better handling capabilities. But not everything at the back of the engine is good. Why? Well, let's look and see. Made to be a fuel-efficient car during its conception, the MR-2 was made to be just a fun car, but ended up as a sports targa. Through the designs made for the 1981 SA-X and the SV-3, the MR-2 name was made, noting mid-engine rear-wheel drive two-seater. It's a standard common name that wasn't used together in its era. It came out as Japan's first midship sports car, given the fact that the NSX came to production at 1990 and the first MR-2 came out in 1984. The SW20, however, that came out 180 kilograms heavier than the AW11, had to compensate the loss in balance with a more powerful engine, and its redesign made it reminiscent to a Ferrari F355. It had 4 trims in the Japanese market, with power ranging from 160 horsepower to a 240 horsepower turbocharged 3S GTE. The 2 popular trims being the Standard or the G Limited and the Turbo or the GTS. The SW20 had 4 variants of evolution, starting on its debut in 1992, followed by the 94 model, then down to the 96 and 98 models, where the latter 2 are more popular. The one major upgrade on the MR-2's visuals would fall during the 94 era, having a 3-piece wing which was updated in the 98 model with a higher vertical range than the 94. The MR-2 was the very first car to experience and even discover the term snap oversteer. Some widely accept this defect, but after a while Toyota decided to balance this trait out for the sake of non-F1 skilled drivers, as they describe. Unlike most midship supercars, the Toyota MR-2 only houses a 2-liter L4 engine. It pretty much puts it on par with the Lancer Evolutions and the Imprezas in terms of the 4-cylinder mark. However, it only houses 240 horsepower. Sure, in the world of maximum tune, that means nothing, especially when you start off at the guest car. But in the real world, and especially in the Tokyo expressways, power means everything. Being the sole midship amongst the entire Wagon Midnight Maximum Tune roster, this gives a testament to the SW20's uniqueness. The game was able to depict this car as a cornering beast when tuned to the max. The MR-2 was said to corner better than the FD, however the debate of this claim is unending. The car had one of the smallest bodies next to the MX-5 and the S30. What is not to suspect with the MR-2, however, is the feedback. This feedback is left to other players not just in Wagon Midnight Maximum Tune, but in other games as well. The best example would then be the Initial D arcade stage series. Its popularity ended right then and there when the Lancer Evolution and RX-8 bandwagons arrived and took a massive portion of the community's car population. Nowadays, the MR-2 is close to extinct as Evos here and there foreshadow it. Same case if you put it together with a GDR. It does not have that much of a fan base like it originally does, and players tend to scrutinize the car's inability at certain tracks. We, however, are not trying to prove them wrong. It's just that an MR layout, yes, it's unstable, but what most players don't know is that it is one of the scariest cars to race against.
Unlike in Initial D where Kogashi Wakai is the only MR driver, you might think that someone in the Supido series is not worthy of driving the MR-2. But you need to be corrected because there's one popular secondary character who plays a major role driving the special midship. And her name is NAOKO Takahashi.
In recent popular culture, Kogashi Wakai debuted with the MR-2 in Initial D 3rd stage. The car was also featured with another character in the Shito Kusoku Max film series with its driver Shikiba Tatsuya and defeated a high-powered R33 in this MR-2. In Supido no Densetsu, this is owned by NAOKO Takahashi, Vice President of the Akiyama Racing School, who has close ties to the series' main characters. Although incognito skill-wise, she's one whom you shouldn't mess with.
Earlier, I said that the MR-2 was the poor man's Ferrari. You think I was joking? Well, it's actually a fact. That's what they call the MR-2. I mean, out of all the Ferrari lineups, the F355 Berlina is the closest one you can get to this baby. Don't believe me? Look at your Ferrari, now back to me. Now back at your Ferrari, back to me. See the similarities?
A lot of people say that the MR-2 is only good in Hakone and nowhere else. The MR-2 has loads of advantages where most other cars would have a hard time dealing. With a general overview of the MR-2's performance, we can decipher the strengths and weaknesses of the car. Best we start off on parts that you need your full attention on, where you'd be able to remedy these traits of the MR-2. Its weight, although a general strength in time attacks, makes this car an easy target to be pushed to traffic and walls. When it gets in contact with a wall, it scrubs too much speed off the impact. Despite its layout, the acceleration field during gears 4 and 5 seem to be too wide, giving you the impression that it's slow on these gears. When you let off the gas for too long during a corner and without immediately pressing it again to recover some needed oversteer, the MR-2 loses tons of traction and you'd expect to be meeting up with the outer wall. The body's aerodynamic, but due to its engine type, it is just not built for top speed compared to the 6-cylinder monsters like the GDRs or the Z series. As oversteer and understeer play together, this actually hurts the gearbox, especially during gear 4, so a lot of unnecessary downshifting may come into play. You need not to worry about the points I've laid out, as the MR-2 has some hidden praises within its compact figure. Following up with its strengths, you'd be surprised as how much ability this car can help you gain. This car, unlike most cars, would only require minimal countersteer. The countersteer of the MR-2 is relatively sharp and accurate. It'd be easy for you to prevent wall taps or even help you chain corners together. Its lightweight and snap oversteer characteristics help you get through corners better than most cars. It is the second most compact body width-wise next to the S30. The car for some reason can easily feel where the corner's apex is, and it's easy to gain as much speed through the corner as possible.
Just because it's an MR, just because it looks like a Ferrari doesn't make it fast in itself. And just because it has a midship compartment doesn't even make it a blistering acceleration monster. The MR-2 has its limits, especially its L4 engine, and Maximum Tune recreates that perfectly.
Trying to keep weaknesses to a minimum without sacrificing any of its strengths, we've got a simple yet effective build that best describes NAOKO Takahashi's MR-2. It may look like a revised stock Aero at first glance, but story canon wise, even NAOKO's driving style fits this build perfectly. Originally, she'd settle for the TRD 2000 GT Aero kit, but this simpler setup helps NAOKO get that 3S GTE's full potential. The build is as follows: Aero A, FRP hood, and NKJS plus M. The car is able to look better at least without compromising its compact body. The extended front lips slightly helped gain the MR-2 an extra kilometer on its top speed, putting its top speed stats above the Lancer Evolution's, although it is still not enough to keep up with the likes of an R34 or Z34. The JS Plus M was best selected to be of a better cornering aid with cars like the MR-2, and with this build, we've proven that it is even more effective in technical areas like Hakone. We highly discourage, however, fitting it with the Super Advent, as it adds to the understeer and would just cripple your performance. The TE37s have similar responses with the JS Plus M but with a more rigid exit. The end performance of the SW makes it better than stock. As for the NAOKO build, it will help you most of the time, but best you don't rely on it too much. Better yet, you time your corner entries properly. The upside to this is that the NAOKO MR-2 is beginner friendly, and in tracks like Hakone, this is a good car to train with. Being vice president of the Akiyama Racing School, NAOKO lives up to her cause of helping you become a better driver.
Sure, the MR-2 may not be as dominant in terms of numbers compared to the Evos or the Imprezas, but I'd rather suggest you sticking out as a sore thumb rather than joining the bandwagon and just be like some other person with an Evo. This car, the MR-2, has loads of potential. No one just realizes it. I mean, it can beat an R32 on the Wangan line, one of the dominant cars on the Wangan. Beaten by this one, a lightweight cornering machine, which was not meant for its top-line, top-speed races in the first place. I've said everything I could do to give this car a lot of justice. Now, it's your turn to do the same. You want to try out the NAOKO MR-2? Support the series. Go to our Facebook webpage. Or send us an email stating that you want to buy the MR-2. And after that, just pay, wait, and once you get the car, dominate. This is Jeremiah Cuyas, Myogi Warrior 34, signing off.